Hello everyone, this is Brandon the Beard, and today we're doing another Dungeons & Dragons character build. For this build, we're going to be building the Armorer from the Mandalorian. After Tulok the Barbarian did his build of the Mandalorian Din Djarin, I got to thinking. Because in the video, Tulok mentions why the Mandalorian himself, why he's not an artificer, and why he's not a forge cleric, because he doesn't make his own armor or his own weapons. That got me thinking, what would the Mandalorian Armorer actually be like? As she's already identified as kind of the head priestess or the shamaness of the Way of the Mandalore, that's kind of the direction I want to be going in. For stats, you can use the standard point array in the player's handbook, roll for stats, or point by. It really doesn't matter to me. All you need to do, remember, is to keep your wisdom and intelligence high. This is going to be important for multi-classing purposes. Constitution I put down next. I always put Constitution down next because Constitution is always, in my opinion, a more important score. Strength is down after that. You can put Strength before Constitution if you want to have greater combat purposes, but to be fair, the Armorer is better at making things than breaking things. Charisma is a little low for a religious leader, but we do just need other things more for playability's sake. Our dump stat will be Dexterity. You're not a runner. Speaking of not being a runner, our race for this build will be a hill dwarf. Variant human with a tough feat could also work, but we need some things early on that humans just don't get. Things like +2 to Constitution and +1 to Wisdom. As a dwarf in general, you get 60 feet of dark vision, Dwarven Resilience, which gives you advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance to poison damage, Dwarven Combat Training, which gives you proficiency with Dwarven weapons, the battle axe, the hand axe, the warhammer, and the throwing hammer. Hammers are very important for blacksmiths. We also get some sweet proficiencies, like smith's tools, and stone cutting, which doubles your proficiency bonus on history checks related to stonework. I don't know if she does much work with stone, but it's something to have either way. As a hill dwarf specifically, you get Dwarven Toughness, which increases your maximum HP by 1 at level 1, and then by 1 again every time you gain a level. That's, by the end of this build, 20 extra hit points. Finally, we're going to take the Acolyte background for Insight and Religion. We're going to kick things off at level 1 as a Cleric. Take History and Persuasion as your skills of choice, and for starting equipment, I suggest you grab a Warhammer, a set of chainmail, and a throwing hammer, as well as a Priest's Pack for your starting equipment. For cantrips, take Mending to repair broken things, Guidance to give allies help, and Sacred Flame to bring your holy fire down upon your enemies. For first level spells, I recommend Shield of Faith and Cure Wounds. I know she's not much of a healer in the show, but a cleric who doesn't heal just seems counterproductive to me. For your Divine Domain, it's pretty obvious the Armorer is of the Forge domain. You gain proficiency with heavy armor and the spells Identify and Searing Smite. You also get Blessings of the Forge, which gives you a +1 bonus to a non-magical suit of armor or a weapon. This enhancement lasts until your next long rest, or until you die. With my last character build, I showed you what classes you would be taking and how many levels of each from the very beginning. This time, because there's a lot of details per each class, and because we're dealing with spellcasting, I'm going to be showing you one class at a time and how many levels you'll take. In this case, you're going to take Cleric levels up to level 10. Starting at 2nd level, you get your Channel Divinity, where you call upon your chosen deity once per long rest for a specific purpose. That first option is Turn Undead, which causes all undead within 30 feet of you to make a wisdom saving throw or be turned for 1 minute. While turned, a creature must use its turns to move as far from you as possible. It can't willingly move to a space within 30 feet of you, it can't take reactions, and can only use its action to dash or try to escape from an effect that prevents movement. As a Forge Cleric, you get Artisan's Blessing. Over the course of an hour-long ritual, you can craft a non-magical item that includes metal, such as a weapon, a suit of armor, 10 pieces of ammunition, a set of tools, or any other metal object worth 100 gold pieces or less. You can use any metal you want to create it, including said gold. At 3rd level, Forge Clerics get more domain spells. Heat Metal lets you make a metal object within 60 feet glowing hot for up to a minute, and any creature in physical contact with it takes 2d8 fire damage. You can cause this damage again as a bonus action on every turn after that. If someone is holding or wearing the heated object and takes damage, it must make a Constitution saving throw, or if possible, drop the object. Failing that, it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until your next turn. Magic Weapon gives a non-magical weapon +1 to attack and damage rolls, and the weapon is now magical for determining resistances. At 5th level, clerics get an upgrade to the Turn Undead feature called Destroy Undead, which automatically destroys any undead creature of challenge rating 1/2 or less who fail their Wisdom saving throw. As a Forge Cleric, you get more domain spells. Elemental Weapon, which is like Magical Weapon, gives you +1 for attack rolls and adds 1d4 to damage rolls for a chosen elemental type: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. You also get Protection from Energy, which gives a willing creature you touch resistance to acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. At 6th level, clerics get a second use of Channel Divinity, and Forge clerics get Soul of the Forge. You now have permanent resistance to fire damage, and you gain a +1 bonus to your AC while you're wearing heavy armor. 7th level Forge clerics get 2 more domain spells. Fabricate lets you spend 10 minutes to convert raw materials into products of the same material, such as a wooden bridge from a clump of trees or rope from a patch of hemp. Wall of Fire creates a wall of fire, up to 60 feet long, 20 feet high, and 1 foot thick, or a ringed wall up to 20 feet in diameter. Any creature within its area makes a dexterity save, taking 5d8 fire damage on a fail and half on a success. And each creature you designate within 10 feet of a side of your choosing also takes 5d8 fire damage. 8th level Forge clerics bump up their Destroy Undead to challenge rating a 1, and get Divine Strike, which adds 1d8 fire damage to one weapon attack each turn. That's some sick damage with a Warhammer. You get 1d8 standard if you're holding it with one hand, plus 1d8 from Divine Strike, and an additional d4 from Elemental Weapon makes for a hard hit. At 9th level, Forge clerics get Animate Objects. Choose up to 10 non-magical objects and have them become creatures that you control. Now Creation lets you make an object or mineral in a 5-foot cube. Finally, 10th level clerics get Divine Intervention. Use an action to implore your deity for assistance, then roll percentile die to decide if they will come to aid you. If you're successful, you can't use it again for 7 days, or if you fail, after a long rest. Now remember when I said to keep your intelligence high? Well, we couldn't make an armorer without taking some levels of Artificer. Multiclassing in Artificer, we gain proficiency with Thieves' Tools and Tinker's Tools. You also get Magical Tinkering, which lets you add a small magical effect to a tiny non-magical object. For new cantrips, scoop up Create Bonfire and Fire Bolt. For spells, grab Fairy Fire and Sanctuary. I'm sensing a theme here. At 2nd level, Artificers get the Infuse Item ability, which lets you add a unique enhancement to an item permanently or until you choose to cancel it. You get 4 options, and you can only use 2 of them at a time. 3rd level Artificers get the right tool for the job, allowing you to spend 1 hour to produce 1 set of Artisan's tools. You also get an Artificer specialty at level 3, and you can't call someone an Armorer without actually being an Armorer. This is, of course, the Armorer subclass from the Unearthed Arcana, as Tasha's Cauldron of Everything hasn't come out yet. Probably once it does, once I can read it, I'll be putting up a second video on how to modify this class to fit around Tasha's Cauldron. Normally, Artificers get proficiency with Smith's Tools, but since you already have it, I went with Woodcarver's Tools instead. It's not super in character, but I'm going for a blend of flavor for character, accuracy, and power building. As an Armorer, you also gain Power Armor. This allows you to enchant a suit of heavy armor that 1. No longer has a strength requirement, 2. Is now a spellcasting focus for your Artificer spells, and 3. Is essentially attached to you and can't be removed against your will. You get to choose a unique style of Power Armor, and I went with the Guardian type. This gives you Thunder Gauntlets. You get armored fist weapons that deal 1d8 thunder damage, and giving a hit creature disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you until your next turn. You also get a Defensive Field. which through a bonus action gives you temporary hit points equal to your Artificer level. Armorers can also get access to the Magic Missile spell for some Whistling Birds action, and Shield for even better protection. 5th level Armorers get an extra attack, meaning you can take an additional action on your turn. Use your Warhammer with Divine Strike first, then hit again with your Thunder Gauntlets. You also get 2 new spells, Mirror Image and Shatter. 6th level Artificers get Tool Expertise, letting you double your proficiency bonus for any ability check made using a tool you're proficient with. You also get 2 more Artificer infusions, which we'll cover in a later section. At 7th level, you get Flash of Genius. When you or an ally you can see within 30 feet needs to make an ability check or saving throw, you can use your reaction to add your intelligence modifier to that roll. You can use this skill a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, a minimum of once. At 9th level, your power armor gets some armor modifications. Your power armor now counts as 4 separate items: a chest piece, boots, bracers, and a weapon. Each piece can have an infusion, and you can now have 2 more active infusions than normal, but at least 2 of them must be part of your power armor. To really power yourself up, I recommend infusing all 4 pieces, a weapon separate from your inventory, and a replicable magic item such as a bag of holding, as there can always be a use for a bag of holding. For the 9th level's domain spells, you get Lightning Bolt and Hypnotic Pattern. Finally, at 10th level, all Artificers get Magic Item Adept, a skill which allows you to attune up to 4 magical items at once. And if you craft a magical item with a common or uncommon rarity, it takes 1/4 of the time and half the cost in gold. Now let's talk a little bit more about the recommended Artificer infusions. As I said, you'll get a total of 8 once you hit level 10, and can infuse a maximum of 6 thanks to your armor modifications, but 2 of them must be for pieces of your power armor. For early infusions at level 2, you can pick up Enhanced Defense, which gives +1 to the AC of a shield or suit of armor. As a cleric, you would already have a shield as part of your standard equipment, if you took that. So you can apply this to your shield or to the armor that you get. As I mentioned, replicating a bag of holding would also be a good idea. Bag of holding can hold up to 500 pounds in a volume of 64 cubic feet. And since you get Enhanced Defense, I would also recommend picking up Enhanced Weapon, giving a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls for a weapon. I should mention for Enhanced Defense and Enhanced Weapon, once you hit level 10, these +1 bonuses become +2 bonuses. At higher levels, at 6th level for example, pick up Radiant Weapon, giving a +1 to attack and damage rolls, and also shedding Bright Light as a bonus action in a 30-foot radius. It also carries 4 charges. As a reaction after being hit, you can force your attacker to make a Constitution saving throw. When they fail that, they are blinded until their next turn. It's important to remember, the DC for that con save is your Artificer save. So you gotta keep that in mind whenever you're formulating spells and for DC saves on different infusions. Next, we replicate another magical item, the Boots of Elvenkind. While wearing these boots, you get advantage on stealth checks relying on moving silently. Since heavy armor is not known for stealth, anything that can help you make certain you aren't the clunky, loud guy at the table is a good idea. The next 3 infusions I recommend are for 10th level Artificers. The Gauntlets of Ogre Power make your strength score 19 regardless of your current strength. Headband of Intellect will do the same thing for your intelligence. Finally, a Periaptive Wound Closure stabilizes you if you are dying at the start of your turn, and whenever you roll a hit die to regain HP, you double that original roll. Since Artificers and Clerics both roll d8s for their hit die, that makes things very convenient. Now let's get to what is probably the most difficult part of any multi-classing build, calculating your spells. As with all multi-classing situations, check pages 164 and 165 of the Player's Handbook to figure out exactly what you have to work with. In terms of spell slots, Artificers take half their levels rounded down, Clerics take all their levels, and so in total, if you've got 10 levels of Cleric, 5 levels of Artificer, that's looking at a Spellcaster level of 15, giving you 4 first level slots, 3 second level slots, 3 third level slots, 3 4th level slots, 2 5th level spots, and 1 spell slot for 6th, 7th, and 8th level spells. Good news, you can cast spells up to 8th level. Bad news, you can't actually cast an 8th level spell. As a cleric, at level 10, you don't learn any spells past level 5, and as an artificer, your spells don't go past level 3. Which is kind of okay, because artificers, even at a level 20 artificer, cannot normally cast spells above 5th level. Now let's get into some suggested cleric spells. These are excluding your cleric domain spells, and you can take these pretty much at any level you want, and they're not in any particular order except by the levels they're at. You can pick them up again whenever you want. For extra cantrips, aside from what I previously mentioned at level 1, Toll the Dead and Word of Radiance are pretty good for standard cantrips. At first level spells, get Guiding Bolt for more damage, and Healing Word for better healing options. To continue boosting your allies, take Aid at 2nd level, whereas Spiritual Weapon allows for more attacks on the battlefield. 3rd level is where the real magic happens, with Dispel Magic followed by Spirit Guardians to get yourself a field of whistling birds, Daylight, and of course Mass Healing Word. Now at first I wasn't going to take a 4th level spell here because much of the cleric's 4th level offerings aren't so great. But then I looked at Guardian Faith a second time, which is like putting a damaging totem on the floor. Felt like something that could prove useful. Lastly, for 5th level spells, take Flame Strike, Mass Cure Wounds, and Holy Weapon. Since artificers aren't really as developed in spellcasting as clerics are, this list is significantly smaller. As an additional cantrip, I would recommend taking Spare the Dying. At 1st level, add False Life and Absorb Elements. At 2nd level, I would suggest Continual Flame and Enhance Ability. And finally, we're only going to take 1 3rd level spell, Tiny Servant. Over the course of this build from levels 1 to 20, we will have had 4 different opportunities to either take an ability score improvement or a feat. No matter how you came up with your scores, Wisdom and Intelligence should be the top priorities for the sake of spellcasting and high save DCs. Strength I would recommend only if you've already capped both scores, or if you just want to invest more in better physical attacks. If you want to invest in a feat or two, consider the following. Fighting Initiate from Unearthed Arcana lets you take a fighting style option from the fighter class. I would suggest Defense to improve your AC a little more. Dual Focused from the Tal'Dorei campaign setting allows you to concentrate on 2 concentration spells simultaneously, but at the end of each turn you must make a Constitution saving throw with the DC equal to the combined levels of both spells plus 8. If you succeed, you still maintain concentration on both spells. If you fail, you lose concentration on both spells. High risk, high reward. Another good feat for spellcasting from Tal'Dorei is the Spell Driver feat. You can now cast more than 1 spell per turn that isn't a cantrip. However, only one of them can be 3rd level, or at 3rd level at most. So, Spirit Guardians and Flame Strike? Not in the same turn. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to build your characters, just be aware that this was a power build with flavoring to fit the character. What did you guys think of this build? Leave your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. No doubt, once Tasha's Cauldron of Everything is released, I'm going to be making some edits to this video, as well as my Brigitte video. Next build I'm going to be making is a standard French Musketeer. Stay tuned, and remember, all will be well. Just keep moving forward.